Sugar tanks proving there are no winners at war. The colors will never return. We are back with Static Squirrel.
Hello.
And this is Gun Bunny, G.u.n.n Bunny, and I am slowly improving. I can almost do that again properly.
It was so cute until it sounded like you were getting strangled.
Oh, so sick. Continue. This, I hate to say, will be our last, well, unless they do some kind of very weird update, recording of Sugar Tanks. So we'll keep the Static Squirrel alive and well as much as we can and get him to pioneer with his ever feisty little tank.
Uh-oh.
So I feel like I plumbed most of your tank knowledge, but I thought of something I should ask you.
Oh?
What do you think makes a good tank game?
A good tank game?
Yeah. First of all, what was the first tank game you played that you liked?
I'm trying to remember what it was called.
Describe what it was like.
It was more of a strategy than it was a attack, or it was more of a tactics game. Like, I didn't directly control the vehicles. I think it was Panzer Commander.
How old were you?
Oh.
Well, when would it have been? Better to go by decades than...
Oh, this would have been in the 90s. Look at me go. I'm a wizard.
So what made that one good?
He shot me. God. Could you guys stop?
Nope. No learning, just suffering.
Oh, jeepers. It was, sort of an a la Age of Empires kind of thing. A little more careful than that, but that was sort of the idea behind it. It was set up so that you could, every vehicle had a certain movement. I want to say it was called Panzer Commander, but he shot himself.
That was many, many, many years ago.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember.
Not such a vivid memory.
No, not really. But anyway, that was the first air quotes tank game I played, and it was all right. But the first one I played that was, I guess, more of an arcade style was probably World of Tanks several years later. Boy, healths. Hey, I told you to die. You die. Oh, okay. Oh. Very good.
That just went well.
Very good.
I could see that you weren't ready for that to go as well as it did.
I really wasn't. Just picking up my candy. Ooh,
was there nothing between Panzer Commander and World of Tanks?
Not really. I mean...
Do you feel that tank games were just really lacking, or you didn't really seek them out?
A bit of both. Like, most of the games at the time were set up to be sort of a... There wasn't a lot of... Like, they were arcade styles. Or not arcade styles, rather, but... I don't know. I'm having a hard time figuring out how to describe it, because it was, they just kind of weren't available in the way that would be enjoyed.
Do you think people don't appreciate the tank part of war?
I think people appreciate it too much in a lot of instances. Like, you run into a lot of people who are under this impression that X would have won faster, sooner, at all if they'd done blank with a tank. And it's really hard to explain to people that the heyday of the tank controlling the battlefield was incredibly short-lived.
Okay, well, so where would it start and where would it end? The heyday of tanks controlling.
To be honest, it would have been the interwar period and early World War II, and I mean like the invasion of France early. Damn it. Whoops. I got distracted.
Well, I am bombarding you with questions.
Yeah, because early on when a lot of people were still struggling with the concept of the tank and combined arms tactics, was really the only time the tank really reigned as any kind of supreme.
What do you think was the end of the tank being supreme?
Air power.
Because they could just bombard the shit out of it.
Yeah, air power, accurate artillery. it was just the end, because the tanks were, like, even today, the tanks are dangerous against unsupported infantry. But that's the thing. Like,
why would you be unsupported infantry?
Yeah.
Because then you're really easy to be killed by a tank.
Anti-tank weapons, like, rapidly outpaced what tanks could actually deal with.
Well, I imagine people looked at tanks and went, that's BS, and decided they were going to find a way to destroy, and destroy hard.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what happened. Like, tanks are still dangerous inside their element, but they've long since been relegated to a after you've beaten your opponent, they come out.
I just noticed this lets you keep your candy when you die.
Does it?
Yeah. That's probably the fail-forward mechanism, is that you can continue to upgrade, even if you don't beat the level. Man's using candy as a defense.
Yes. And it's working really well. But yeah, in general, the problem is tanks are just really a lot easier to destroy, like ran into each other, than people think. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Utter nonsense. Well, I hear things exploding, so...
Something's going good over there.
Getting shot a lot, though. Anyway. Yeah, it's...
So World of Tanks comes out. You didn't play that right off the bat, though. That had been out for a while.
No, it was out for a long time before I... Oh, come on. That was nonsense.
Started playing.
Yeah. It was...
And do you think that sort of fulfilled your tank itch for quite some time?
For quite a while, yeah. It has a lot of issues still. Oh, he shot himself. Cute.
Hey, take the freebie.
Namely being, it's got, the arcade style is cute, but the way they've monetized the game has really ruined it in a lot of ways.
I always feel the failing to these games is when they don't have, like, the really heavy, dependent arcades, when they don't have any kind of story mode. Even if you just make it small. I think that was really the failing of Team Fortress.
You think so? 'Cause,
yeah.
I mean, like...
I really think Team Fortress could have been in the neighborhood of,
we
like...
did it. Yay.
Game of the Year. But what was wrong was once you took that party pack feature away, there was no storyline or anything to play, so there was nothing tentative to grab to. Alright, let's upgrade him.
We are currently playing Sky. We're kind of done.
Oh, and you want to try somebody else? We have lots of points.
Yeah, but also hates bombs. Well, I like that you can get armor. That makes me smile.
You want to play Angel?
Yeah.
What do you care about bombs? You don't use them anyways.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're going to be slower.
Meh. Apparently I gotta wait for this to tick down. Or I can hit the button. Yeah, I can hit the button.
Oh, you're so cute. Face the camera.
I'm adorable.
Oh.
I got little stars for bum.
Yep.
Alright. Does this just keep going? Good God.
Hey, this game, see a need, fill a need. Wasn't very expensive. You can't complain.
Yeah. Alright.
But I think there's something that requires a little bit of effort in storyline mode. I think World of Tanks, if you had taken some of the more primary tanks, especially from primary areas, like, you know, a Russian tank, a German tank, etc., and given them just a little bit of missions that you could play on the side, you could have justified charging people a lot more in the arcade.
Well, the problem isn't that they charge people in the arcade. World of Tanks' problem was that
Well, it's a pay-to-win.
Yeah, it went to a pay-to-win model. You needed to buy the superior vehicle, and you needed to buy the superior ammo.
Now, you move from...
Hello? Am I missing something?
Oh, you go through.
Can I drive through here? I can.
Now, you went from World of Tanks to War Thunder.
Yeah.
Okay, so what what in World of Tanks gameplay do you like about the tanks?
Well, I do like the World of Tanks models. Like, they look good. They're... I don't know if they're accurate
candy's on
per
its own.
se.
It must be fancy.
I can't say if they're accurate per se, but I mean, it's fun. The problem is, though, it's really... And I mean, War Thunder does this too, but there's just some vehicles that just have superior weapons for seemingly no reason.
Now, I know you like the math, so is it the fact that you can organize angle versus shot in a perfect world? Is that the mechanic you really prefer? Because I know lots about tanks, and the armor has to do with the ability that you can hit a tank, but then it fractures off because of the angle of the armor. That's a big part of tanks in general, right?
Angled armor was a big leap forward to be had when the Germans invaded Russia the first time, because they went from their 50mm anti-tank guns, which they'd been using to great effect on every armored vehicle they'd come across up until then. Even though the T-34 was built pretty badly and out of subpar materials at times, the fact that the armor was sloped allowed, at least at a distance, for a grand majority of the shots fired at it to just bounce off it. So the armor didn't even have to stop the round. It would just deflect away.
So who made the T-34, and was it the first one to really use the angled armor?
The Russians made the T-34, and no, Russia had used angled armor before, just not as prolifically.
So they really did it that time. It wasn't just a plate on the front. It was a plate everywhere.
Yeah, everything was angled, and it was thick enough to be effective, because even with proper armor angling, if you've only got a 15mm plate, like, it doesn't matter how well angled it is. It's just not heavy enough to stop anything. So when they had earlier tanks, I think like T-26s, somewhat with the BT series.
Are all the ones that start with a T, are they Russian tanks?
No.
So who's a T-26?
A T-26 is a Russian tank again.
So you just told me no to be yes, just to mess with me.
Not all.
Some T's start or someone else's tank.
It's really confusing when you're talking about the T-34, because there's a Russian T-34 and an American T-34.
Of course. And everybody's got to go to space.
And they're very different.
Bastards. Everybody's got to go to space. Are they made around the same time? Both
No.
T-34s? Who made one first?
Russia made the first T-34. It was a medium, and it was made during the early invasion of Russia until I think the very end.
What defines a tank to be a medium tank? Like, what?
Good question. That is...
No one knows. Is it a mystery thing?
Yeah, what makes it a heavy, what makes it a light, what makes it a medium, what makes it a tank destroyer,
I have noticed that the words tank destroyer is a pretty liberal applique.
Yeah, it is.
You say that about... People say that about everything.
It's because it is a very generic and broad term.
Also, anti-air... What is it called? An anti-air machine?
AAA gun?
Yeah. On a tank.
Is
a BS term as well, because... Technically, if the tank can hit it, it's an anti-air gun. So then people just went, yeah, I could probably hit this out of the air. And it was completely wrong.
So, the best way to describe it was actually probably developed by American doctrine at the time. Was the best way to describe a tank is its intended purpose. So, for example,
light tank's intended purpose. Go.
Mostly to harass other light vehicles, unarmored vehicles, and infantry. It's not really meant to get into a fight with another tank because it's not going to have the armor or the
oomph,
the firepower to really do anything about it. So, generally speaking, light tanks are for scouting, flanking, getting around, not really hard fighting. I guess I have to drop down. into this nightmare. Hi, boys.
Alright, a medium tank.
Medium tank is kind of what endured and became the modern tank design. The cannon's big enough to hit hard enough to deal with most things up front. The armor is thick enough to deflect most things that aren't close and to the side. And it's fast enough to get around, but still has enough armor on it and gun to be effective when it gets there. So that's kind of what became the MBTs of modern era, is out of that.
MBT.
Main battle tank. So that'll be things like the Leopard, the Abrams, and oh, bugger. I think it's the French Leclerc.
I am just impressed that you have no chance to prepare for these questions, and I just bombard you, and you do very well consider. It's a lot of tank knowledge to just pull out of your rectum. Most people write scripts, and I'm just like, tell me everything you know, and it comes out of you. I'm just saying that so when the audience is like,
the screen.
Why is he so all over the place? That's why. I'm forcing you to remember a lot.
I really don't like these enemies I can't see.
Yeah, I think that's how most people who drive tanks feel.
Yeah. Bugger.
Well, you know he's over there. There. That's the good
bugger.
boom. Oh. Alrighty. Give up. Let's go see if we can upgrade this tank out of raw curiosity. Gave you the level anyways.
Yeah. No, it reset me. Arg. Well, I can get more health, I can get more gun, I can get more health, and I can get more gun.
Wow.
Alright, once more with feeling.
You can do it! This you can kind of power through. You don't have to worry so much about picking up candy.
Yeah.
And you got more G.u.n.n. You like more gun.
I do like more gun.
Just race through it. I believe in you.
Okay. Speed running.
You don't have to prove anything to people.
Speed running.
Alright.
Let's just get through the level. Can't stop me now.
Lightweight, heavy tanks. My brain was like, yeah, you know the thing.
Yeah.
So, heavy tank.
Heavy tanks would be something like a Tiger, an IS, a Joseph Stalin. Yeah, there says something about him. The American T-34, which is a heavy tank. The French AMX 50, I think. Can't remember. Anyway, there were a bunch of heavy tanks. They were designed as, like, breakthrough vehicles.
So you're trying to push something down.
Yeah, so the idea was you could use them to get through... Oh, there's the end. We made it! Joy! Woo! Go team! The idea was to use them to break fortified positions. So, like, bunkers, infantry holes, things like that. But they just, as time went on, especially with aircraft becoming dominant, they were just targets.
Would you consider most anti-air tanks, because I know there are tanks that really mounted an anti-air gun.
Yeah.
Would you consider most of them to be heavy tanks?
No. Most, at least during World War II, most of the anti-aircraft tanks were repurposed older tanks. So, for example, as you're going through the war and you've got these older tanks from early on in the war that aren't really much good anymore.
Well, and you still have them.
And you still have all of these chassis. And you don't want to just throw them out. So a lot of the times they get repurposed. So what happens is, like in the case of a lot of the earlier tanks, they get sent off to womp womp. They get repurposed, so they took the a lot of the turrets baskets out of the Panzer IIIs and other similar makes and models, and pulled out their turrets and dropped in already existing anti-aircraft weapons.
Okay. So that they could still make use of it.
Yeah, because I mean, and especially like when you're considering, it's not much good as a tank at fighting other tanks and infantry anymore because it's too old. It can't keep up. The cannon's not strong enough anymore. The armor's too thin. Laundry lists of problems. But if you convert it by just changing out the turret for an anti-aircraft platform, you don't have to worry about all that anymore. It's not meant to fight on the front lines, and it saves you a ton of money and material because all you have to build is a turret.
Well, I think that's been a lot of learning about tanks. And I think you've kind of hit your limit for your bullet hell skill set.
Oh, yeah, I'm not doing so good. The last 2 levels have not been good.
We've hit the cap. You've hit your cap.
No, they hit me.
Yeah, it's true. They did hit you. So thank you all for joining. I believe this will be our last episode of Sugar Tanks. I might make you play if it did like a Christmas skin or something, but I think I'll free you.
Is there?
I don't know. Is there? I love that. Is there a Christmas skin? If there is, it'll be a $1.50 DLC, and I will make you come and play.
Well, unlock Carolina. T-Bot 3000.
Well, that's the crazy one.
Jiggles.
So.
Nope. Doesn't look like it.
Until we find a reason to return to Sugar Tanks. And you got to be Angel at the end. You are the Angel of Death. Look how cute you are.
I have a star butt.
I do. You have a star butt. That's what it's all about. Thank you all for joining us. This has been Gun Bunny, G.u.n.n, Bunny, and Static Squirrel.
Hello.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.